Hey guys, we are live. This is Jennifer from the Shooter's Mindset. We are here with Greg Cannon tonight as our co-host.
Hey everyone.
And this is episode 323 with the awesome Greg Hamilton and Sean Murphy.
Hey,
Wait,
hey.
is it Greg Hamilton and Sean Murphy, or is it Sean Murphy and Greg Hamilton?
I guess
Generally youngest to oldest, shortest to tallest.
age for beauty or beauty for age. It depends who's primary shooter, which is usually me. But yeah, it's me and you. I'm still.
Not really. Ever.
So Sean and Greg make up team Unhealthy Bromance.
Of many names.
Is that just one of the names? Is that just this match's name?
Most applicable to be said on public viewing.
Yeah, we have some names depending on how well or not so well we're shooting, or how we're feeling on the weather and different things. But yeah, unhealthy bromance. That's pretty good. Kind of started as a joke, because for those that don't know, I live in Georgia. Greg lives in Montana. He happens to be here because Mammoth is this week. But so we don't get to practice, and the only time we get to kind of coordinate other than shoot matches is on the phone. So both of our wives commented that we talk to each other on the phone more than we talk to them. So kind of evolved into the unhealthy, which is where that came from, and then the bromance, which bro friend, boyfriend, wives call it different things, but pretty much unhealthy bromance. Just
That's pretty hilarious. So y'all, Southern y'all, I just thought about Greg makes fun of my Southern accent because he is not from the South. I'm very sorry. He's not from God's country. But y'all both shoot these team matches together, but I'd like to hear from each of you, like, how did you get into the shooting sports in general and the shooting industry, and get to how did y'all end up teamed up then? How did this marriage occur?
Ooh, you're gonna have to start first.
like you said. So I guess the fair thing would be talking about shooting independently before we hooked up for team matches. So I shot competitively in college. A lot of pistol, USPSA, IDPA, got in 3-gun. When I started working for Night Force, my day job, we made it 1-4, so I did a little 3-gun, but that kind of led me into the long range side. Did some F class, got in as PRS started getting bigger, and we brought out the ATAC-Rs, started shooting more long range stuff. And that's kind of, I've shot a lot of different things. I like to shoot if there's a game involved. I'm not really good at shooting shotguns, so not really that. But pistols and rifles, I'm in. And it's really through PRS stuff that got more aware of different industry companies and proof research where Greg works at, and we shot a few PRS matches together. But I'll stop there, and he can tell about his shooting background, and then we'll. It's a pretty funny story how we shot our first match and got going with it.
So I think I got my first 22 when I was 6. Shot small bore through junior high, high school. Took a little bit of a break before getting back into long range hunting, living up in Montana, and started working for Proof Research right at 10 years ago now. That kind of led me into the 3-gun and PRS, and then fortunately started dipping my toes into the team matches. Found that to be a heck of a good time, and that's where he and I kind of got set up by the pimp, Chris Giddings.
Yeah, so I was out at Rock Lake at Scott Satterley's house. They got after the first day. We were hanging out at Scott's place, grilling out and drinking. And Chris Giddings was there. We had shot, I think, TPRC in November or whenever it was, that 2015 maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so this was that spring Rock Lake match. And Chris Giddings, he steps outside on the phone, comes back in, and by day, he is a NFL agent. So he's a wheeler and dealer by trade. And so he kind of walks in and just kind of has this very Cheshire cat-like grin, just a huge grin on his face. Like, hey, Murphy, I have a proposition for you. and it kind of outlines that there's this match. It's a team match. It's in Montana. It's a good time. Kind of explains some of it. It's like it's in like 3 weeks. So if you basically get your flight, bring a pistol and an AR, Greg will have all the long range stuff and everything else you need for the match. So like, okay, sounds like fun. I had met Greg, and like I said, we had shot a few matches, like individual stuff, but weren't like best buds. We're still kind of like, oh yeah, hey
we
man.
sniffed each other's ass a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're friends, but not like best buds. So, the side to that, Greg was previously been signed up, and the guy he was supposed to shoot with was not able to make it at the last minute. So that's where we got linked up. So that match was the Stillwater Tactical Challenge, which unfortunately does not take place anymore, but super, super fun match. And we ended up placing second. We shot really well together and had a lot of fun. Like, it was just a fun all around event. And we're like, hey, this is working out. This was fun. Greg knew more on the team match stuff. And he's like, hey, there's this other match in Wyoming in the summertime if you're interested, which is the Competition Dynamics Team Challenge. So we went down there actually like, hey, let's think, not last minute, how can we just show up and shoot, but let's put a little thought over how can we actually try and shoot well together. And we ended up winning that match. Like, hey, this is a good thing. You want to keep doing it? And Mammoth this year will be our 18th match in like 4 years. So we've just been having fun doing it. It's a chance for us to hang out. We've become, like I said, the unhealthy bromance, but become best buds and just shooting matches, having fun, and kind of where we're at.
So do y'all get along really well now, or are y'all like the old married couple that like fights the whole time?
There's been some discussions every now and then.
Course corrections.
But for the most part, I mean, we talk every day. He's like my little shorter brother. Life is pretty. It has gotten to the point of two years ago. Sean came out to Montana and officiated my wedding, so we're that close.
Y'all are seriously close. So what other team matches have y'all shot, and how many times have you shot Mammoth? Because that's this weekend coming up. So that's kind of why the timing of having y'all on the show right now. So how many times have you shot Mammoth, and how did you finish? And then what other team matches have y'all been shooting?
Oh shit. So this will be the third time shooting Mammoth. Last year we were fortunate enough to take first in high overall for Tough Man, and then the previous year we took first in the regular division and high overall for the event. Before that, Competition Dynamics Team Challenge, Stillwater Tactical Team Challenge, Wyoming Tactical Rifle Challenge, GTI, Snipers Unknown at GTI, and
Guardian team match.
Guardian,
like a private military one. What's have we done? He's got a list. We've done a variety of them. It's really kind of breaks down into 3 mini seasons. There's like the Ruck and Shoot. So, the Burdick's match, the Bushnell now Vortex Team Sniper match. So you have like the Ruck and Shoot, so which is what Mammoth is, where you're rucking with all your gear. If you shoot the right division, or someone could say right or not, but basically if you shoot, there's a division for carrying all your stuff for the weekend. So that's kind of the Ruck and Shoot. So for Mammoth, that Bushnell now Vortex Team Sniper Challenge.
Vortex Extreme.
Oh yeah, Vortex Extreme for another match. So then like in the summertime, like that Competition Dynamics Team Challenge, WTRC, Vortex Extreme, a lot of those, they have like your overall time is on the clock, and then you shoot like stations along the way. So instead of you ruck and then you stop and then you shoot a stage and then you ruck again, like those other matches, like you have a 2-hour window to do a 7-stage course, and you got to cover terrain while you do it. And you'll do 3 or 4 of those courses and some other side challenges. So those are kind of like our summer events, which is a different type of physical. It's a lot more short bursts instead of like the long sustained rucks. And then kind of the fall is a sorted, more sniper, more, not as much rucking or running between shooting positions, but just different types of shooting challenges.
Which is your favorite match? Which team match is your favorite?
Yeah, the Stillwater match was a pretty special one. Just the location was really cool, and just it was 4 different events. The one that's still going on, probably WTRC. It's hard physically. The shooting's tough. Location's fun. But really, they're all fun. Everybody like there's a lot of prep that goes into Mammoth and some of the others. It becomes kind of that singular focus for a while. So they're, when it gets there, it's kind of like, oh yeah, we get to shoot it, and then it's kind of like, oh crap, we got a lot of work to do. But
so many of the matches will end up requiring different preparations since they aren't following a series. It's up to the match director to make this what they want, what they dream to be the ultimate event. And some focus on the physical portion of the rucking, some focus on some extremely challenging shooting. Some are the finding, ranging, and engaging. There's times when just finding the targets is far more challenging than shooting them. So every match director puts their own spin on it.
Yeah, that's part of the fun too. I mean, we both shot PRS and still shoot a couple matches a year, but that next level challenge of taking, say, skills learned from PRS shooting, the barricade shooting or the just the rifleman type, shooting abilities and skill sets and applying them in a field setting where, hey, now you got to find the targets. Now you don't know the target distances, and you got to run into run a half a mile to get into the position. And then when you're done shooting, get up and run to the next station. Like those, it's just an additional layer of complexity and preparation and something different. But as Greg said, the not having a series for these team matches is part of what makes them great, because whether it's the event history, what it was inspired by, or the match director's philosophy on shooting and skill sets that a competitor should or shouldn't have, it's a different challenge. And I think part of the preparation is part of the fun of it. It's not just the match itself. The match is, we go to have fun. That's what we go to do. If we're not having fun, and that's our number one rule. If we're not having fun, we're not going to do it anymore. So if part of that fun too, though, is figuring out, okay, what have we heard? If we haven't shot the match before, what have we heard about it? What do people have to say? What are the rules? And hey, do we need heavy guns or light guns? Do we need to bring accurate pistols, or do we get away with something lighter and save some weight? Or what kind of gear do we need? Like that's half the fun in it as well. Do we try some new bullet or cartridge, or stick to the tried and true? It's easy to get tempted in that. So it's always something. We both like to tinker with guns, so it gives us an ability to tinker and then in turn take it in the field and play with it.
It sounds like every one of the matches, everyone has something different. Like, I mean, not that PRS matches are all the same. They aren't. Some are more positional, or some are more modified prone. There's different, some have faster par times. So there's a little bit of variation with PRS, but it doesn't seem like it's nearly as much as the team matches. It seems like different ones will have a different flavor, and it's a totally different.
If you count it up for Stillwater Tactical, the first event that he and I shot together, we had 8 firearms. 2 pistols, 2 carbines, 2 lightweight, a lightweight carbine, long range carbine, lightweight bolt gun, and then 2 heavy PRS type rifles. So being flexible in what platform you end up shooting, and having the versatility to shoot, pistols, short range carbines to, long range bolt guns, all could be the same afternoon, kind of sets them apart from the, saying it, but the one trick pony of the PRS rifle. It's 22-pound dasher, and fits this criteria to make it happen.
That's cool. A little bit 3-gun and PRS together.
We both, my first love was pistol shooting, so I still like shooting pistols. I love shooting, accurate carbines, and since we've been doing some more of the physical stuff, I've also gotten into it's a solo gig, but call them running guns, where it's kind of that similar concept. If you have like a 5 or 10K course with stages along the way with pistol carbine, but that challenge of the unknown, there is no way to game it because you don't know anything. There's very limited information, so you have to kind of prepare for the unknown. And then the variety of the guns like that just keeps it fun. It's something that we both enjoy, and it works out for us.
Nice. So back kind of towards the mammoth in particular, how do you guys go about preparing and training for a mammoth?
What's preparation?
No hashtag training for mammoth.
Well, it's not publicly documented. It's top secret.
That's why I had to ask.
No,
I know
no.
how everybody else trains for mammoth.
So really, we prepare for mammoth in a sense, methodically, the same as we're for any other match. We look at what are the requirements as a team and as the shooters, and what can we do to best prepare for that. So, break down what's the physical aspect. Well, what kind of physical shape do we need to be in? Well, I'm not going to practice rucking, 12 months of the year if I don't have to. It's just wear and tear on your knees and your legs and your shoulders. Not that you can't be in good physical shape and do it year round, but doing very, very heavy weight all the time is not always the greatest. And we shoot other stuff, so we don't have to year round. But so, in the fall, we're going to amp up physical training for being able to survive the rucks. Then we look at what are the gun requirements. Okay, we're going to shoot lightweight guns to try and cut our pack weight down. So practice a little more with those lighter weight guns because they're not as easy to shoot as maybe a traditional PRS rig. Going to a carbon fiber wrap barrel and maybe a carbon fiber stock. Well, you're cutting, not quite 50%, but 40 to 50% of the weight out of, say, a normal, what's now considered a normal gun. It's just harder to shoot, even in a 6mm, to maintain that sub-minute consistency at any target, any distance, any condition. So practice a little more of that, and then just going through, what are the other things that we need to take care of? Is our gear up to spec? Or, did the sleep kit we had, did that work? Do we want to change it? Look at what are the material items we might want to change. And, that's kind of how we prepare for it, is what's the physical side, what's the shooting side, and what skill sets do we need to practice? Hey, there might be standing offhand shots. Okay, well, we might not normally practice that with a bolt gun, but maybe we'll practice it once or twice going into the match. Or, hey, we'll make sure a pistol's tuned up if we were getting a little lazy in the fall because we hadn't had to shoot pistol in a while. Just one of those, make an assessment of what the needs are as a team, and then do our best to, make a weakness into a strength, or if it's something that's a weakness, minimize that weakness so we're not going to bleed too many points out on the course. I mean, ultimately, with a lot of these team matches, mammoth being a big one, PRS shooting, most matches I would say are cleanable at least by 1 or 2 people per match. Now, if you have a ultra long range stage, not everybody does, but for the most part, you're going to see a 9 or a 10 on, say, a 10-point course by somebody in the field. At some of these team matches, like, it's a kick in the balls because the best team may not even score 50% of the points on a stage. So you go into it thinking, oh man, we're going to do well, and then you suck, and then you realize, hey, I only shot 40% of the possible points, and that was a good score.
We've had it worse.
Yeah, we've had it worse.
Like,
we've
high score on the long range stage at Mammoth for 2 years, 60 point available, and we got a 14 and an 18. You come out of there like just
wow, we suck.
Beat upon your head and shoulders, and then you come to find out that you did well. So surviving it mentally is 80% of the game.
Yeah, and just keep going and doing your best. So
I would think that would be difficult, not knowing where you're stacking up. I mean, like,
you can't
yeah.
count.
And I know, I get what you're saying about the mental. You've got to just put that aside and just keep trucking on and keep shooting and move to the next stage and forget the one before.
those rounds are so far long gone. They've been in the dirt for minutes. You're only going to hurt yourself if you think about what you could have done or what you should have done. Learn for next year if that scenario shows up again. But the next stage might as well be the next day. You just need to put it behind you and roll on.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of joke, but we're actually serious. When people, we're there to have fun, and yeah, we'll have bad stages. It happens. You got to give yourself a little bit of freedom there. You're gonna screw stuff up. We screw stuff up all the time, and it's just being able to not let it get in your head and say, "Oh man, we're hosed." It just they are hard. They're designed to do that to you, and it's just not giving up. And part of it being a team match is making sure as a team you can get through. You both don't get down. If your partner starts seeing you get down, they should be like, "Hey man, don't worry about it. Let it let it roll off the shoulders and keep going." We have especially early in the match, you have you're only a couple stages in. It's like there's a lot of shooting left, and
this is a marathon. You absolutely need to play to your strengths. If there's something that I'm good at, we're gonna let me try to shoot it. If Sean is particularly more proficient at part of the stage coming up, he's going to tackle it. If it goes well, awesome. If it doesn't, it's probably not going to go well for a lot of other folks too. So who cares? We're there to have a good time. And if we're not having a good time, there is not a good reason to come back. So
yeah,
if it's the third year, we're having a good time.
Yeah, that's something to be said, is to have fun. So for anybody that wants to try Mammoth or a team match that's like Mammoth, what is the most important thing for them to focus on? Like, I know y'all say y'all break it down into different things, but if somebody was coming in and they're like, "I want to shoot this," what's the most important thing to focus on from the beginning?
They need to be able to make the minimum ruck standard. That's known. It's 16-minute miles. Historically, the last ruck is the longest. It's 5 miles. You have 80 minutes, not 80 minutes and 5 seconds. You have 80 minutes. If they can make that, you're good to go. I think we weighed out our food. We've got 6 pounds of food a person. We're going to be down on ammo, so we're probably down 12 pounds. So we'll be carrying 40 pounds on the last day. You can do 40 pounds for 5 miles. You're going to be all right.
Yeah, Mammoth specifically. I mean, completing the rucks don't earn you points. They keep you in the match. And if you fail a ruck, you don't go home. You just ride in the van and you fall to the back of the order as far as picking when you get to shoot, and you're out of the running for any kind of prize table or things like that. So, but you can still learn. I mean, the big thing, I know a lot of people say it for any sport: show up and try it. Ask questions. Find people that have done it before. Don't be afraid to ask the match director. Read the rules. I mean, learn as much as you can and absorb it. This is an expensive sport, so there is a certain level of investment involved. When you look at, man, it's a lot of money to do it. Well, yeah, it is. But as we said, we didn't start out shooting this stuff with, having all this gear. This has been an accumulation, and we get stuff and try stuff and buy and sell stuff all year long, continuously refining what we have. When we started out, we didn't have the gear that we have. So it's really just going with, what do you need to get by, and then learning. Going to that first event is really such a learning opportunity, whether you have the Gucci gear or not. Even if if you go and you only hit a handful of targets the whole match, you're still going to learn a tremendous amount more than if you didn't go at all. Like we've put on, some classes, we've done different information, written some stuff online. Like there's there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of stuff other people have done as well, but there's nothing like going and actually doing the event. And that's what we did for our first mammoth. Was we didn't camp out. We didn't do the tough man. We did the regular.
We mined the shit out of the internet beforehand to find out what people had written, what was out there, what the expectations were. Get up as many of the friends that have done it in the past. You know, the venue had changed, the ownership had changed, Grunt Style had purchased it. Chris Andrews was going to be the match director that year. So things were going to be different, but the premise of the event was very similar, and it's very unique in itself. So find out what's out there and make sure that it's not going to win mammoth, it's going to survive mammoth. And by design, it's tough. It's mentally and physically tough, but it's far from unachievable.
That's awesome. Greg, you got some lives?
Yeah, so the Mammoth Sniper Challenge said, you guys better bring your A games this weekend, fellas. Of course, you always do. And Grunt Style First Sergeant said, oh, yeah, it's mammoth time.
Tim's always out there to make sure everybody's having a good time.
I think it was not last year, the year before I was out there, and Tim was definitely there to make sure people had a good time. I remember him being like, guys, check this out. Got like their last 5 mile ruck. So I decided to make them, run through the grenade field, loose sand with bunches of holes in it. And then see that truck over there? That's like an IED simulator. I decided to not let them sleep all weekend. So yeah, Tim's definitely out there having fun at y'all's expense.
The sand pit was a kick in the nuts that first year. You're going up this endless hill of false summits, and you keep going, and you keep going, and then you go down, and you go back up this big hill, and it's like, oh, you turn here, and then it's sand. And it's like, oh, crap.
We fell behind the pace.
Yep, it's like, I remember that.
Sean got stressed.
The whole weekend, keeping up with our pacing and our timing, like, we're good. That was the only time I was like, we got to pick our shit up. And, I had to try and run a little bit through sand just to maintain pace. And then once we got through the sand, hit pavement to the end, and we're obviously able to make it. But yeah, that was not a fun surprise.
But the following year, the sand was like, you knew how far it was. It is what it is. 3 bends in, and you're going to be through the sand. Now, the first year, it was borderline terrifying because you didn't know if it 3/8 of a mile, 3/4 of a mile. I know I didn't have over a mile because that would have put us over the 5 mile mark, but holy shit, it could have stopped anytime soon.
I remember everybody talking about that sand. Andy Reinhardt says lots of cardio and snuggling.
Yes, all Andy. Yeah, no, we do have a tent. Taking care of yourself as a team for these events. That's certainly something that you're always trying to cut weight. Everything's a compromise and a balance. It's a compromise of how much we only carry, how much money we're willing to spend. For us, we put a little more money in it than we probably should have, but to save some weight. But a lot of guys make the sacrifice. Well, do we bring a tent or not? Well, we chose to bring a tent. That way, if it's raining or if it's miserable, we could at least be dry. We bring extra calories so that on the last day, we're not like a zombie and we can still think clearly and execute on a stage well. Different decisions like that. But yeah.
A good friend of ours, Mike Huff, said, you can be cold, you can be hungry, you can be wet, and you can be tired, but you cannot be all of them at once. So we're a sissy, and we choose to only be at maximum 2 of those at a time. So
or less.
Or less. So we never go hungry. I get grumpy.
Very grizzly bear, Montana grizzly bear.
Yeah. We stay
get hangry,
and in turn, you can keep your head in the game.
Nice. So for PRS shooters like myself, we have a pretty straightforward set of gear. You want the heaviest rifle, the smallest, fastest bullet you could find, all that stuff. But what's different, both gear wise and skill set wise, if I'm trying to go from PRS to something like Mammoth?
So the baseline gear you have will work for the shooting piece. The Mammoth specifically, with the rucking, obviously you have something to carry all your gear, the appropriate shoes, to have some support, or not going to trash your feet. But then there's some pistol shooting involved if you don't have a pistol. Ultimately, the last remaining component is finding and ranging targets. So having some ability, whether it's binoculars and rangefinder, laser rangefinding binoculars, which is what we prefer, some means in practicing of in PRS, there's the targets, here's the distance, here's the time, here's where you're shooting from. With Mammoth and all these other team matches, it's, hey, you can't see the stage over there. Oh, by the way, there's 6 targets out there. You don't know where they're at, and we're not giving you the distances. Oh, and by the way, you got these other 3 things while you're down there, and you got 4 minutes. Any questions? Well, how do you deal with that? Well, the rifle stuff is, shooting a target at 400 yards, it's shooting a target 400 yards. Now, if you want to save on weight, you can do a lighter gun, but certainly do a heavier gun. You just got to carry it. It's those other skills of how do you find it and range it, and what do you use to do that? So the biggest equipment addition that you'll have to have is some kind of rangefinder if you don't already have one. Ideally, something you can find and range with. A lot of rangefinders are a lower magnification, whereas with like binos, we run 10 power binos with a laser built in. So you're not, there's a target, hang on, let me get my laser out. Where is it? And then kind of going back and forth. That would be the biggest thing I would say.
Otherwise, you're committed for 3 days. You need to have your stuff run extremely reliable. Chasing speed, chasing ultimate performance. It could rain, it could get dirty, it could multiple things. It could. So not having case head separation, not having pierced primers, not having hard extraction, just having everything run reliably generally means don't push to the razor's edge. Pick something that's consistent, stable, and know how to work through problems on the stage. Pistol problems, rain problems, rifle problems, ranging problems, prop that you have to shoot off of problems. By design, they are throwing every problem that they can dream up over the course of a year, giving you range to target, but ranges for the primary shooter are in yards, range for the secondary shooter in meters. And they don't tell you that. It's written down, but they don't tell you till you get there. So just having a contingency plan for almost anything that you couldn't think of.
That's crazy. Alan Overton says, let's get one going in Australia, have the facilities and logistics to host one down under. I don't know about that. Y'all's things will kill you out there. Like this is Georgia, but in Australia, I think everything will kill you.
Yeah, I'm not sure about like sleeping in a tent with like the black mambas and.
Man, if we can get the Rona shit behind us, like we want his address. I want to go to Australia.
Greg's like, I'm on it. We can do it. Let's see. Nick says, Sean, how do you convince your longer striding teammate to carry more of the weight in their pack?
So
that was a discussion.
So rucking pace has been let's just say a learning opportunity. So Greg actually doesn't have a super long stride except for when he's running, which is very rare. Thankfully, it burns more calories for him to run, but when he does, I can't catch him. Ultimately, he gets to cruise at a lower RPM than I do, we generally balance the weight out. I'd say we're within
Yeah,
a couple pounds.
yeah.
Like we don't have one guy carries more or less than the other.
I'm older and fatter, so that figures into a portion of it. But the first stage, God, son of a bitch.
So
He takes off like a freaking Yeti is chasing him, and the squad is back here, and he takes my radio. I
Yeah.
have no tunes. I have no partner. I'm pissed.
It was raining.
Freaking pissed.
It was raining. It was the very first ruck, or the very first mammoth we had shot. And yeah, there may have been a little anxiety about not finishing. So it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this. And
there was no freaking we in it.
No,
he takes off like there is a real grizzly bear behind him.
It was like eyes planted to the ground in front of me, make sure I didn't trip because there was so much water on the side of the road, and it was just in a just keep moving, just keep moving. And yeah, we got to the end, and it was a one-way conversation on how a team ruck worked. So after that, we're good.
Like I don't need to I can go home.
So now y'all
is back home, and we can get a new flight.
Yeah.
So after that, he learned to moderate his pace a little bit. I'm happy. We finish. All is good.
you have tunes.
Yeah. Now at like the competition dynamics match and some of those, because you are packing up as you go, so sometimes you don't have to. Your whole movement's on the clock, so he might take off and I'll catch up. So we might do some leapfrogging in that regard. But yeah, on the where there's like the ruck together, yeah, that was. We had to figure out a good average pace.
We learned something.
We learned.
There's 16-minute miles. If you build a little bit of time into your hack of, say, 15-minute miles, if there's an unknown hill or obstacle or sand or some garbage like that that's going to burn time, then you've got some safety margin built in. If somebody takes off like their ass is on fire for 12-minute miles, I don't know who they're trying to impress, but good for them. It's not me.
Yeah, I think last year I went back and did the math. We averaged 14.5-minute miles for mammoth. We had a few that were, mid 15s. Just the hardest rucks are not the long ones. It's actually the short ones because you can't build in any forgiveness. And if you're starting at the bottom of the hill and the range that you're going to is less than a mile, but it's uphill, well, you're having a hard charge uphill. Those are the hardest ones, actually. The longer ones, you can build in some of that reserve time. But yeah, like I said, it was roughly 14.5 minutes per mile that we averaged over the whole match last year.
Well, I think it's like you said, Greg, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So I would be worried about trying to do 12 or 13-minute miles on the first day of rucks. And then by day 3, I can't move. I've run a couple of half marathons. And so there's a guy that wanted to run one with me. We trained and ran together. And I told him, I said, you run your race and I'm running my race. Like, no hard feelings. If you want to go ahead, you go ahead. It's not a team match, obviously, so it doesn't matter. But I was like, you go ahead if you want and whatever. So he was like, no, I'm going to stay with you. I was like, okay. So we start the first mile and he's like itching to go. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. And I was like, we've got 12 more miles to go. I'm not speeding up. This is the pace I want to do for the race. And he's like, no, I want to speed up. And I finally was like, go. I told you don't have to stay with me. Go. So he was like, so he goes ahead of me. Right. Well, about mile 12, I'm still going at my same pace. And I come up and I turn a corner and I see him there and he is like barely moving. And I was like, I went up beside him. I'm like, what is wrong with you? He's like, man, I'm dead. I was like, yeah. I said, that's why you had to pace yourself. I literally had to be like, we're about to turn the corner and run in front of people, like all the spectators. So you better get it together. Come on, time to go. You suck it up, But he was ready to take off. And I would think mammoth would be the same way. If you on day one are like, yeah, I feel good, let's go. And you really, really are going, then day 2 and 3, you're going to pay for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, I mean, you're also, if you're a PT stud, and you do it for a job, a lot of the military guys, they can run it with a ruck, and it's awesome to watch them do it. But from surviving the match, if you don't have to do it or you don't train to that standard, as long as you finish the rucks, you stay going to the match, 'cause you still got to shoot, and then you've got, like I said, you just got to sustain the whole time. So, yeah, no, interesting on the running side, the, something if you're wanting to get into some of that with the whole COVID stuff, I did like a kind of like a couch to 10K type program, but learning different running paces and what that feels like depending on the distance was actually an interesting learning exercise on, I've never run 12 miles before, but you can't run it the same as you run in a 3 mile. I know that might sound logical to most people, but for me, I'd never done it. So I didn't, it just is a learning opportunity though. So
Yeah, definitely. Greg, what you got?
Everybody focuses on the physical standpoint of the event. If you can make it, it's a pass or a fail. You don't pass with excellence. So get to the point where you can pass. It's still a marksmanship event. Focus on some shooting. Like, the pistol points are worth almost the same amount almost all the time as a rifle impact. So stop sucking with the pistol. Uh, put some rounds downrange. Back home in Montana, almost all of my shooting for rifle practice is with a 22 long rifle. Now, I get lucky enough. My wife Stephanie cringes a little bit, but not too much, that I shoot off the front porch nearly every day, but it's all with a rimfire. So it's still a marksmanship event. And hopefully folks don't lose sight of that it's only this insurmountable physical challenge.
Nice. So I got a discount, but I can hit a couple lives first. Andy Reinhardt wants to know if you guys are selling the Sean and Greg shirts.
we could probably find something.
English medium.
Medium.
For Andy. Custom.
So speaking, before we move off of that, because I was going to ask that question and pose it with two, like, tell us about that really quickly. I know y'all do some training and some things. So tell us about your shirt, what it represents and all that.
So because we've been doing the team stuff and have been successful at it, we were getting a lot of requests to do some private training, and some of them were, we had to set up a business both for facility access or things like that. So we have SG Concepts as a business that we're 50-50 owners in. And until last fall, it was really just for private stuff that people wanted. Just because we both have full-time jobs and families and everything else. So last fall, though, because we had enough people asking that, didn't want just a private thing, so we did an open enrollment team dynamics class up at Pig River, and had quite a few teams that are shooting mammoth this year. And so for 2021, we're doing class the first weekend in May and the first weekend in October. And it's not just mammoth. This the one we did in October. We did with kind of more of a focus for it since it was only a couple months out. But it's really our niche is the team stuff and other gas gun or really kind of anything. We have a lot of experience in a variety of precision rifle, carbine, pistol stuff. Stuff we haven't gone into depth on talking here, but our kind of niche to the public world being the team stuff. We enjoy doing it. Again, we do this for fun. We see that there's a lot of people wanting to get into it, and there's a big learning curve. Going to these matches and seeing guys, it's their first time and they're excited, but they're also frustrated because there's this learning curve, and they spend a bunch of money on stuff they really didn't need to buy, and like, oh, if I'd only known this, or wish I had done that. We just wanted to create some opportunities for people to learn without having to necessarily go to the match or spend all the money. You know, our literature is, hey, bring what you got. Don't go buy a bunch of stuff just to have it. Try our stuff. You see what else is there. Learn what the application and techniques are, and then use that to help drive your purchasing decision. You know, maybe you decide you want a certain piece of glass or a certain backpack because of certain features or not. You know, that's kind of our approach, is from the how can we get people up to speed faster or better? Because we're an open book on stuff. You know, people ask us all the time what we do. Like, we don't hold back any secrets. We just want more people to do it. We enjoy the team stuff. We enjoy shooting matches. We want more people to do it. So this is just our way of creating some of those opportunities to help people get better and hopefully stay in it and do more. Because more people doing it is more matches. More matches is more opportunity for us to shoot and have fun. Anyway.
No, that's pretty much it.
We know who the talker is, right?
I'm very fortunate. I can just sit back and try to look pretty, and he takes care of all the talking part.
It's kind of like the shooter's mindset. I look pretty, Jen does all the talking.
I don't think that's actually how it works.
Hey, I look pretty tonight because I have a hat on. Apparently I don't without one of these. So Nick wants to know what your favorite morale booster or snack or luxury item is that's worth the extra weight at Mammoth.
Ooh. So after every ruck, we have a reward. So a honey stinger, some almond butter, peanut butter in individual wrapped portions. That is kind of one of those, like, hey, cool, you made it through the ruck, you didn't suck. You get to have that before you're generally very in-depth and defined stage brief that you get. So hopefully get your head back in the game. And then something that we do differently than most folks is, after every single ruck, we'll split a meal. Yeah, even with the Rona, we're still gonna split a meal, and that works better for us to maintain calories through the entire day versus, hey, I ate a big breakfast, I ate a big lunch, and I ate a big dinner. Big lunch for me, we're gonna miss a ruck because I'm gonna be hiding in some thistles in the ditch somewhere. So moderation is going to be a far better plan for me.
Yeah, and then the road candies, Jolly Ranchers for while you're rucking. That can help.
Yeah, good friend taught us that. Jolly Rancher will get me 2 miles. So put that in the side of my jaw, and it just makes the miles suck a little bit less.
Yeah, small conveniences. You know, every night you have a little sweet snack. I mean, just little positive things. I wouldn't say there's any one giant thing. You know, we both, like I said, we try not to get too uncomfortable in any way. So those little snacks kind of help. As is having a dry tent to get into, as is, you know, having a dry pair of socks to put on at night to sleep in.
Yeah.
Things like that. I mean,
it's not Mammoth, but Bushnell Sniper Challenge, which is now Vortex Sniper Challenge that Joe Burdick put on. Coleman Creek in February, that was down to like 15 degrees at night. It was brisk. So there was dudes that didn't get very much sleep. They've got a tent or a fire right outside their tent. The Yackley brothers, they about froze their ass off. Like, they still did well. I suspect they probably could have done better if they got a decent night's sleep. So staying warm, staying comfortable, staying fed.
That was one of the questions that I was going to ask in a bit, was how important y'all think nutrition is. And I asked that because I know I've talked to y'all before and y'all said that y'all eat consistently, that you eat a lot, you don't go hungry, and you really, that's a big part of your game plan.
Well, it's kind of a clue when the match director on the morning brief says, "Hey, you're tired. Some of you aren't eating enough. You're still shooting guns. Don't do stupid stuff." Or, when you actually see it on squad mates, we saw that the first year. That was a big learning thing for us. I mean, with the first year being regular, getting a hotel camp, you just got to survive the 12-hour day, which still sucks. But you could at least go back and somewhat regroup and eat as much as you want because you didn't have to carry it with it. But really seeing day 2, day 3 guys on that didn't bring enough, and really the zombie effect that it does create, it's a big learning opportunity of, wow, these guys are not doing well. Like, they're not in it at all because they're hungry, they're cranky, and they're not paying attention. Like, you watch, at Mammoth, you can't see, if you haven't shot, you can't see people shoot. But once you do shoot, you're in a staging area away from the people that haven't shot, but you can generally see those that are shooting behind you. And so sometimes seeing, like, man, this is like a basic physical movement and they're still jacking it up. So just, nutrition is highly important. You're burning a lot of calories, not just, some people plan what they normally eat and bring that. Well, you have a lot of physical activity, and if it's cold, you're burning even more calories just to stay warm. So
Cold, you're wet. Yeah. Every year, freaking rains.
Yeah.
The first year, you could have taken a boat and made your way down some of the ditches. But Chris Andrews will write stage descriptions where you have to shoot the yellow target, the green target, the blue one, the white one, and the orange one. And then he'll put a red one right in front of God and everybody. And that thing has so many freaking impacts on it. He didn't tell you to shoot it, but
there's a target.
Some people, if they were staying up on their nutrition, would have actually caught the fact that it wasn't in the description. Maybe not. I know I had a pound of pressure on the trigger on a 1.5 pound trigger pull before I made the decision not to shoot it. But that thing had a shit ton of impacts on it, and they don't earn you any points.
It really is amazing what nutrition and eating food will do to you. I'm real bad about that. The first time one of the Snickers commercials came out, I think it was during the Super Bowl, the commercial played, and my dad looked at me and said, "They made a commercial about you." I'm like, but it is really true. Your brain is much sharper when your body's not like starving for nutrition.
Well, he's angry. When he gets hungry, he's hangry Greg, and that's not a good Greg to be around.
I am exactly the same way.
I've identified it. Guys will try to save weight to make the rucks more survivable and take less weight via less calories. Like, I can get by with 2,500 calories. I cannot.
I'd be better off throwing the bullets and leaving the gun than not having my Snickers bars.
I would rather take less ammo and make the impacts or make the shots count that I do have shots for, instead of saving that weight. So, we're taking 4,500 calories a day, discounting day one that we'll have breakfast from McDonald's or something. But yeah, 4,500 versus your normal 2,500.
So I'd recommend Steak and Shake. There's a Steak and Shake when you get off the highway right there to go in. They got a bomb breakfast. If you go left, you got a Bojangles. They're so much better than McDonald's around there. It's about 3/4 of a mile left. Hit the Bojangles, turn back around, go straight down. You'll be in gate 1.
Noted.
Yep. So hey, we're gonna do a kind of a little discount corner type thing. Today is the last day for the GSL Suppressor discount that they posted last week. You'll save 15% off any through 8 or 6.5 GSL can. By the way, just got it today. It's absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to go shoot it. It is good until midnight tonight. Email K Kinsnar at gsltechnologies.com and ask about the Tate discount. As long as you get your email in by midnight tonight, you get 15% off, which is a really good saving on this can.
Awesome.
Yep.
So real quick before we go off of nutrition, what do y'all have certain meals that y'all take with you? Is there a certain, like if somebody was a newbie and they wanted to go and do this, like I know we talked about how important it is and 4,500 calories, but like how do y'all pick what you take that's lightweight enough?
So you look at the weight versus the calories and what you're using it for. So dehydrated meals, that's the big one. A lot of your backpacking, we get a variety of like Backpackers Pantry, some of the Mountain House Pros, the other one, Good to Go. You know, there's quite a few brands now making pretty decent meals that 600 to 800 calories per pack. A lot of them, it's a 2-serving pack. So we'll do those. We'll repackage them into a quart-size Ziploc bags. We got these Hyperlight reheat bags that work really well for those quart-size bags. So all that being said, between the two of us, we can save a pound and a half just by taking the packaging away. So we'll go with those dehydrated meals for our main calorie intake. Beyond that, there's the snacks. I mean, can of tuna doesn't work because there's not a lot of calories relative to the weight and there's a lot of moisture. But like those honey stingers and a lot of stuff like that runners have, the gels and the goos and things like that can give you that energy boost. Whether you need them for the rucks, if you're doing a couple mile ruck, you might want to take something in the middle or right before, depending on your own energy needs and how you're feeling. Maybe that sweet treat is a little bit of a luxury item. Sometimes you might bend that rule if it's, hey, if you need that to help get you through, it's that, hey, this is waiting for me on the other side. Well, then get it and use it, as long as it's not ridiculously heavy. But generally, dehydrated food and having some way to heat water for that. Jet boil's real popular. A lot of the smaller, again, backpacking, Alpine type stuff. There's a lot of really good gear out there. If you do a little bit of research and talk to a few different people, a lot of stuff to read about on the internet.
Cool. Greg, did you have a live about it?
Yep. While we're still on
I was reminiscing on the first year. I made some custom energy nuggets from some marathon runners that gave me some ultra marathon runners. But prime ingredient was dates. God damn, that was rough. Will be the cousin to a prune, and I was pretty clean, buffed out by the end of the first couple rucks. So that knowing how everything agrees with you is probably another bonus.
I was about to say, when I was running long range, they used to always say that you don't ever eat anything new, like, goo and all that stuff that runners do. You don't ever do anything new. So do y'all eat your stuff beforehand to make sure you're not going to like, yeah.
And so that's actually kind of my live question from Keith Baker. He said, do you guys acclimate to your match food sources prior to the match? And if so, how far ahead?
The dehydrated stuff, not really.
As Jennifer's eating an Oreo.
Yeah.
Hungry, gosh.
For the most part, our stuff's fairly stable. The dehydrated stuff is really, we don't go too exotic on some of that stuff. It's generally rice and something or quinoa and something. So it's something normally in your diet. or at least in our diet. As far as the gels and other stuff, off and on, we'll try and make sure there's no adverse reactions. But for the most part, we're not going too crazy on some of that.
I don't like doing the whole product endorsement thing, but the hot apple cider.
Oh yes,
Mountain Ops does some hot apple cider, kind of a long
Ignite. They call it the hot Ignite.
long duration pre-workout sort of stuff. Man, that is pretty awesome in the morning. Get some caffeine. It tastes really good, but you got that in your stomach brewing while you're packing up the tent. Inadvertently, it's just going to be cold. I think this year's forecast, we're going to be down in the mid to low 30s. So staying warm, staying ready to go is kind of nice thing.
I will think about y'all when I'm warming my bed at night.
I'm about to say, I'm going to be about 10 minutes away laying in my bed with the heat on and my big blankets.
Nice.
So y'all have fun with that. So what do you guys think the single most important piece of gear is for Mammoth?
Can't hit it if you can't range it.
Yeah, most important piece of information is the target distance. Everything else is built off of that. Wind calls, dope, everything else. So a range, some kind of range finder and knowing how to use it. That's probably your most important thing. Beyond that, debate on calibers, guns doesn't really matter.
We
Backpack, I mean, everything else, there's stuff that you have to have, but and that's really anything with an unknown distance, good range finder.
following that up, you can never hit it if you can't see it. Weather generally sucks, so we trim as much weight out of so many different things in our pack, and in turn we both bring 735s. Do we use it all the time? No, but every now and then you crank that sucker up just to find it or spot an impact or verify the target you're supposed to be shooting at.
I like good glass.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us one thing about Mammoth, like insider info, something that most people don't know unless they have done it before. So what's something that's kind of I don't know.
Something.
Like if somebody was like, oh, I want to do Mammoth, what's something that you would tell them that maybe they would not know just from?
I would say it's very doable. That's something that when we did that fall class, we got a lot of feedback. There's very, very good marketing around Mammoth. It is a very difficult match. It always has been. Both owners, different locations. There's always been challenges to it, but it's not impossible. It's not weeks on end. It's not 30 miles a day. It's 10 miles a day ruck plus other time. Other movements and stages, things like that. But it's very doable. 16-minute miles. Yeah, is it fast? But it's not like you're having to run that. If you're in decent physical shape, you can work to power walking that. Let alone a little bit faster shuffle on the downhills, and you'll get there.
They're looking to change it this year, but last year I don't know if anybody failed the last run. Now, mind you, that's the last day. You're the most tired. The packs are lighter. You're down on food, down on ammo, but it's the longest ruck. 5 miles. You have to be there in 80 minutes. And I don't think anybody failed last year.
Yeah, but you had 2 days of weeding people out.
Yeah, you pre-qualified people. So your heaviest fallout rate physically is on day one. Mentally, they give up on day two, and by day 3, they have the physical and mental fortitude
Yeah,
to,
we're finishing this bitch.
like, you're almost there.
Well,
Yeah.
there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's
You
like,
can-
oh, I can do
yeah,
this. You got that
you can-
second wind.
Dog shit for 2.5 days. That's what this is. It's 2.5 days of less than optimal
Yeah,
environment.
the second morning is always the hardest, both Mammoth and then that was Bushnell, now Vortex match. The second morning after you've been out, you had to sleep outside. It's cold, you're achy, and kind of like, why are we doing this? Why are we signing up for this? I could be at home. This is stupid. It's January or February. We're outside doing this. But once you get through that, like I said, you just kind of mentally resolve yourself into finishing. And that would be my advice is it's very doable. You have to work for it, you have to want it, but it's not impossible.
So talking about being cold at night, what do y'all sleep in? Do y'all have sleeping bags? I know you said a tent, or do you just cuddle to stay warm? Like,
No, we have boundaries.
Big spoon.
We have boundaries. No, so we have it's an Alpine camping tent. It's a 4-person size, but it's got a 2-person garage area. So basically, like area for our kit, area for us, in a 4-person kind of layout, so it can stay dry. We run sleeping pads, so air mattress, or not mattress, but air pads to get us off the ground. And then Greg found this company, Enlightened Equipment. They make quilts. So the concept being a conventional sleeping bag wraps all the way around, but when you lay down on the part that's beneath you, you're crushing the insulation, so it's not having any effect. The theory behind a quilt is you use the pad as your insulator with the air, and the quilt is a 3-sided. It's really like 3.5 sides. If you get the extra wide version, you can wrap it all the way around you if you had to, and cut some of the weight out. And they have different temperature ratings and length and things like that. But we'll run those quilts and thermal underwear, good pair of socks, put a watch cap over your head, keep your head warm, and
Tylenol
PM sleep like a baby.
before night, and
earplugs if you wake easy. Set your alarm, and we're generally lights out pretty quick.
now, did they do the explosions last year at night?
No, if they did, we slept right through it. I don't think they did.
Definitely not the second night.
Yeah, the second night last year we had a pretty bad. It was actually a hurricane. It wasn't there some kind of tropical storm remnant thing.
Yeah,
it was nasty here.
Yeah, and basically the Fort Gordon rules were we don't care who you are. If it's lightning, you're not sleeping outside. So we all crammed into a couple different buildings depending on where the teams were at, and it wasn't bad. I think the tent
stunk.
Yeah, I think the tent. I wouldn't know.
It was brutal. That many dudes not to butt. It was some stinky quarters.
It was packed tight, but again, get comfy, take your Tylenol PM, and rack out. I mean, you're so tired too. I mean, by the time you get back, finish, because you have to ruck back at the end of the day. You don't just stop where you're at. So you ruck back, get the tent, get a fire on your stove going, get your food rehydrated. While you're doing that, set your tent up, change, eat, take a Tylenol PM, and about 45 minutes to an hour after you get back, you're ready to go to bed. And it's pretty easy to go to sleep just because you're tired.
I can imagine. That's craziness. Do we have any lives, Greg?
Not gonna read that. Eric Lindbergh said there was tornadoes night too that you guys slept through.
Yeah, wouldn't doubt it. It was a pretty nasty storm.
Yeah, it's
the master RO.
Yes, the RO.
That's one of my most fun favorite things about living here in Augusta is like opening my front door and being like, Oh, all my friends are out there in that. I'm gonna close this and go back to the couch and grab a beer.
It's no good. Go
Yep.
ahead and 11, Greg.
Ryan Beck wants to know what the best way to store ammo for the match is.
Ziploc bag. Again, saving weight. Ziploc bag works. If you don't mind a couple extra ounces, the Magpul DACA pouches, they're great because they have
Durable.
they're durable. They're not going to tear like a Ziploc bag does when you're trying to cram everything in your backpack. They have some water resistance to them. I don't know if they're fully waterproof, like officially rated, but I've had a soak through backpack and ammo in a DACA pouch, and it did not get an ounce of moisture on it. So generally, we'll run those just because they are durable. Yeah.
That's awesome. I've heard a lot of good things about those. So what are y'all's goals, both as a team and individually, for 2021? What sort of matches do you guys have planned for the year?
For us, our first priority, just for the year. Oh, he's got a list. Our primary goal is team matches. That's our kind of first choice. Just mutually, where Greg's at, he's a little more remote in Northwest Montana, so it's a little bit harder for him to get out and about. Me being in the Southeast, a little easier to get around. I've been shooting some more those running guns. A little bit different challenge. Same kind of that unknown, spacing it. The spacing it as you go. So I'll shoot a couple of those this year as well. I shoot a couple precision rifle matches, if any carbine, DMR type matches that I can get to. Always enjoy those. So I'll kind of do what I always do, and it's a variety. I don't really have one that I just say this is the only thing I'm going to shoot. But if there's one preferred, it's team matches. Greg has a list of our wish list of could we make it.
So the wish list for the year so far is starting out Mammoth in January, Vortex Sniper Challenge in February. Nick is putting on a Real World Sniper Challenge down in Texas in April. Chaz Bales has got a team match in June in the home state on the Eastern Front in Montana. Wyoming Tactical Rifle Challenge, Sniper Unknown at GTI in October, and then followed up, we're just signed up for the Guardian match at GTI in November.
And that just, all the Guardian matches just opened this week. So if you're thinking of shooting any of those, I know that GTI one sold out real fast last year. I don't know if it's still open or not, but that was a lot of fun. They did a good match there just because it's open now. And I know towards October this past year, people were asking, oh, how do I get in? It's like, well, it sold out back in the springtime. So if you're thinking of shooting that one, go ahead and get signed up. And if you can't make it, I'm sure somebody will buy your slot. But that was a good time.
Get your stair climb around.
Yeah, lots of ladders and stairs, and a lot of vertical, even though it's in South Carolina.
Do y'all have goals like we want to win every match, or do you have any certain things like, well, last year, we did this, but this year I want to, move up and get this?
Like you said that whole we want to win every match thing kind of like as a joke. Like it'd be if I was like, yeah, I want to win a Pro Series match this year, everyone would be like, ha ha ha. But like for them, that's like a completely achievable goal.
No, we actually set zero expectations on points. We're not having fun. It's time to stop.
Yeah.
So,
and ultimately, if somebody beats us, we're happy for them. They earned it. That's our goal. Is do we like to do well? Do we want to do well? Sure, anybody would. But our goal is to go have fun, do the best we can. And if somebody beats us and we didn't screw up royally, great on them because they earned it, and we're happy for them and want to know what they did because there's something that we missed out on. I mean, that's ultimately our goal. We don't get to go practice together. We don't get to go hang out unless we make a very specific trip because we live several thousand miles apart. So this is our chance to hang out and have a good time and shoot some guns. So that's what we're there to do, not be miserable trying to, we're a couple points off. Can we win or not? Like, whatever, go shoot. Have a good time with it.
Who do you think is going to be your favorite RO at the 2021 Mammoth Sniper Challenge?
It's going to be a tie.
Three-way, a three-way.
Three-way tie.
I like three-ways.
There is the RO.
Yeah.
That'd be Eric.
Yeah.
And
His
then
partner, right?
his
I
partner,
think she's on the podcast.
Jennifer.
Yeah, she'll be there.
And then a good friend of ours that is hailing from Florida, Cade. Cade is going to be a little ginger air pirate Coast Guard dude. And, be there.
That's hilarious. I was like, yeah, I should like get bribes out now of what the RO's like. See, I mean, was that an impact? I think it might have been an edge hit.
John going to be there too? Chuckles?
I don't know if I'll be there.
If John Cuckler shows up, then it could be a four-way.
It's got to be there.
Oh,
Man,
Yeah, I feel like
It's
You know,
it's
cool
kind of like a
people.
reunion.
man, so y'all can't decide. That's what it is.
we like everybody.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Well, it is a very important thing that a lot of teams overlook. If they can't communicate together, they most certainly aren't communicating with the third person behind them, that is the RO. That's one of the things we go over with anybody. Hey, you can argue back and forth, but even when it's time to fire, if the person behind you that's scoring doesn't know what you're doing, you're probably not going to be earning points either. So
You're really truly a three-person team on the stage, your partner and the RO. So there's times where we could have possibly gone faster, but if we didn't have concise communication with the RO to ensure that they're on the target that we're on, there's no way we're going to generate any points off that thing if they're not looking.
It's true. Very true.
Yep.
What is your drink of choice after you finish the match?
Twisted tea? Wait, no.
No, actually, it's not drink of choice. It's something we did last year that we're going to totally do again this year.
That's not legal in Georgia.
It's only legal if you get caught. I'm just saying.
Gotcha.
So last year, we put a couple fillets in a cooler in the back of the car with a cast iron and a bigger camp stove. And right at the finish line, we cooked some steaks right when we crossed. And earlier somebody asked about motivators. While we didn't carry that with us on the last day, that was hey, wait, we got those steaks waiting on us. And we had some stink eyes. We did share a little bit, but we had a few people giving us the stink eyes. They walked by because they didn't think of that.
That is completely and totally something I would do at a match.
So I imagine more people are going to join in the post ruck on the last day grilling out. So if you bring something, we'll have our cast iron and grill. But it'll be that's something that's worth getting across the finish line for.
So over to lives real quick. Brandon Butler said that he signed up for the Vortex in February and he's debating on carrying a tripod or not. Do you think that it's mandatory or something that is user preference? Tripod with a ball head, totals about 5 to 6 pounds, that he's not sure if it's worth it on the rucks.
Go ahead, Greg. Mr. Tripod.
It is not, in my opinion, worth bringing a rifle without a tripod. Mark Kuska, he will disagree, but if you're there to earn points and you can carry the weight, a tripod will buy you points. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Last year, we used it on 3 stages. 2 of them were definitely beneficial. Could you get by without it? Yeah. If you can carry it, man, good on you, because you're going to use it. We've used them for everything known to man We carry 1 or 2 tripods at every team event that we ever attend.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just about carrying the tripod, it's knowing how to employ it. Rapidly deploy it on the clock. If it takes you 2 minutes to get it out of your bag and set up, don't bring it or practice with it. You know, there's not just supporting the gun off of a conventional set the tripod, shoot the gun. There's front and rear support. There's, filling gaps, laying it down on the bridge, 2 spots together. There's using it for reading. There's a lot of different ways you can use it. Again, if you've never practiced with it that way, well, then you don't know. You're bringing something along and not realizing what its actual potential value is.
So, Sean, you just kind of like blew my mind there, because that's something I've never seen a tripod used for. And I just, in my mind, when you said bridge the gap, I pictured like 7 stages that I've shot this season that I'm like, oh yeah, if I just laid a tripod across that.
People do that on bus stages all the time at PRS matches. Lay it across the
Yep, that's
I
the
can't
2
see
bus
inside of the
seats
bus.
and lay it across and then use it as a support.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things if you're willing to get creative and play with it.
Got to do it quick.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be quick. Like Mammoth, I think Vortex is 5 minute, or when it was now Vortex. I think those are 5 minute stages. Mammoth's 4 minute, unless they changed it this year, but last year was 4 minutes. I mean, you got to be quick. So if you can't get it out quickly, don't bring it, or have it as a contingency plan or something. But yeah, for us, we know how to practice, or we know how to use them through practice. Greg probably shoots more off of a tripod than off of his belly, because he shoots off his porch. So yeah, it's for us absolutely worth it. Again, if you're gonna bring something, make sure you know how to use it, or think through all the possible ways. Think through your backpack. All the different angles that you could get for support of the gun or your body, or again, fill in a position with your ruck, because you're having to bring it on the stage with you anyways. Like, we see a lot of that where people have all these tools with them. They don't think of it, well, that's my backpack, it's not a shooting bag. Well, it's both. Same thing on a tripod. It's not just something to shoot off of. It's something that could be support, could be for rangefinders, things like that. So, because we bring the gun, 1 bag, and a tripod. We don't have a bunch of bags. Our other bag would be our rucksack, but for the most part, that's it. Like, we can generally solve most problems between the 2 of us with that combo.
I've laid on my backpack many a times. Plop it down and lay to get some.
Yeah, I remember like a month ago, I was out practicing, and my little brother was shooting a PRS 22 match for his first time, so his first time out of anything besides for NRL 22. He's like, "Man, I wish I had your fat bag with me." I'm like, "You got a backpack? Throw it down." And he's just like, "You were a genius."
Yep. We got any more lives?
We are good on lives at the moment.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap this down to shout outs, because some of us have to go to work tonight.
Not I, said to Greg, hoping my phone stays quiet all evening.
So go ahead and start with shout outs, Greg.
Oh man, you put me on the spot. All right, so shout outs.
We do it every week.
I know, but I never expected. I'm a little slow. We're going to start off with Gsl Suppressors. Both of my cans came in today, so I'm a little bit excited. There's another one over there. I got the Woodland on my 22 and the GT mag for my centerfire. I just picked them up from Classic Jewelry and Loan here in Thompson, Georgia. Shooters and Sharpshooters of Augusta, our local ranges here in Augusta. PDC Custom for the most beautiful rifle chassis known to man. They're available in lime green or like normal human colors. Shooters World Powder. It's still available all over the place. Obviously, the big resellers are sold out because anything that shows up there is gone in like 5 minutes, but they still have it at like Shooters of Augusta, and it's shipping out all over the place all the time. Hunter's HD Gold, because I'm blind, not as blind as Jen, but I am blind, and they help me see real good. And Vortex, keep your nasty rifle dirty, nasty rifle clean.
Okay.
However you make that work, that's cool, man.
You do you.
We will go to Greg Hamilton next. What shout outs you got?
First and foremost, My most supportive wife, Stephanie Hamilton, is keeping the house squared away, the dogs fed, the ponies squared away, and in the corral. So she's hanging out in temperatures far from warm while I'm down here doing these adventures. Of course, all the folks back at home at work at Proof Research, and that's about it. There's a bunch of other people that know that I love them, so they'll be good to go.
This means my turn.
Yeah.
Sean's turn.
Awkward silence portion.
How long can I drag this out? Well, like Greg, I have a very supportive wife at home, and 2 little kids that are full of energy that she somehow manages to harness. So we are fortunate that we have very supportive wives that let us gallivant around the country shooting matches together. So big shout out to her. Like I said earlier, I do work for Night Force, so big shout out to them. I wouldn't be doing the long range stuff if it wasn't for the company. The products are outstanding. It's a company full of people that believe in the products and really work every day to make the best ones that they can. I do think they are the best, and even if I didn't work for them, I'd still have Night Force on my guns. We do both shoot for Hornady, so they make. They were friends before they were a relationship for us. So folks at Hornady are awesome people, great products. We'll be using A-tips and ELDs here at the match this weekend. Crew over at Silencer Co. One thing we didn't talk about is running suppressed. For us, that's a huge deal in these team matches, being able to communicate. So we're both running the Omegas, and Greg works for Proof, and I'm fortunate to be on their shooting team and use their barrels, steel and composite. We have quite the collection between us these days for different matches. But those would be the companies that require a shout or deserve a shout out. And there's just a ton of people. I know some have logged on, that never get the shout out. This is there's a lot of people that have helped us along the way. People see us, we've been fortunate to be successful, but it's because so many other people have been generous to us. And that's really why we try and reciprocate, because we wouldn't be where we're at if other people hadn't been willing to be helpful to us, whether it's tidbits, info, help on gear, or whatever it is. So, if you're watching and we've had a conversation about something, definitely thanks to you, because it has helped, whether it's, a positive or a negative choice on something for yes or no to get something, or how to do something better, because that's those little nuggets over time. I mean, that's really what I think helps make the difference in the long run. So
That's awesome. Well, so for my shout outs, it's pretty simple. Night Force Optics, GSL Suppressors, McMillan Stocks, Shooters of Augusta and Sharpshooters of Augusta, who will always be dear to my heart, HD Gold. And shout out to you two, because y'all have helped me tremendously this year through some gear issues. So thanks for all the advice and loaners and help along the way. As you said, it's good to have friends help you along the way, and then you can help others later. So that'll be me next year, or the year after, hopefully helping someone else with, maybe I'll have extra rifles and have loaner rifles, all that good stuff. But I want to thank y'all. Huge shout out to coming on the show and spending 2 hours with us tonight. Good luck at Mammoth. I know y'all are going to smash it like you always do. So I'll try to not laugh at you too hard.
Oh, well, our goal is to make the ROs laugh. We didn't tell you that. So.
Oh, that's fine. I like laughing, so I have no problem. I will laugh at you and with you.
Definitely at you. I could attest to that.
And I'll even laugh at myself if I'm the butt of the jokes, I'll laugh still. So it's good.
Yeah.
We'll have a good time. No, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun to see everybody. So with that said, that will be a wrap for episode 323 of the Shooter's Mindset, and we will see y'all next week.
Perfect.
See y'all.